Thank you. All right. She's like, she got the shades going on. All right, everyone, welcome. This is the Damion Oliver Show, and I have my special guest here, Kesia. Kesia, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for, being a part.
Thank you for having me.
All right, just go ahead and tell the viewers just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm a middle-aged woman with 3 children.
Okay.
A lot of people say I don't look my age, but...
Which you don't.
Thank you. But, I work hard to get this look. However, I am a professional. So I am in corporate America. I've been in corporate America for over 30 years and have a lot of information, wealth of knowledge to share, wealth of experience to share. So Damion has asked me to, sit with him and possibly share some insight on certain things.
Absolutely. So what I love about Kesia, so we've met here at our company that we're at right now, but what I love about her is just her authenticity, right? She's just very authentic. And I feel as if just a great person just to be around, the energy, the vibe, everything. It's always a good vibe, right? So, and when it comes to just being able to share and just be inspirational, I think that's what we really liked about each other, what we connect very well with, right? So I know in our conversations this morning, we're talking and, we kind of tap into a little bit about what monogamy mean, because, a lot of times people kind of think about monogamy in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
If I don't know, then you're monogamous, right?
Right.
And, I feel as if that's a very, very interesting topic. And it's just, I want to see what your views are when it comes to monogamy. And, do you feel as if people live by those standards, or do you feel as if it's just don't ask, don't tell type of thing that we try to get into these relationships and we kind of navigate that way?
Personally, I used to be a fan of monogamy. I've practiced, I think, most of my life in thinking that I had a monogamous relationship where I was only dating one person at a time, right? However, things changed, and so I found out behind the scenes from either their significant other or someone else that they're messing around with, or even friends, that may not have been the case. And so right now, what I feel about that is I would like to explore other options.
Okay.
The other option would be a poly relationship. And then I just found out that there are many different forms of poly, but the one that I focused on is polygyny.
So for those who don't know what polygyny is, can you just tell us just a little bit about it, what you've learned so far? Because, from someone that going from a place of being monogamous to polygyny, help us just understand that concept.
So to my understanding, so I went out researching, what does it mean? Because I did see a friend that was on TikTok, and he was talking about his family structure. And when he talked about his family structure, I admired it a lot. I mean, a lot of people may not agree with what he's doing, but I see the benefits of being in a polygyny relationship. So polygyny relationship is when multiple women share one spouse. So we're married to the same man. We're raising a community together. So we share the responsibilities. We share the responsibility as far as family life, business life. And so when I start to think about those things that I've always tried to get on my own, it's always been a challenge for me.
Okay.
So not that I'm going into a relationship because I need to save money, not just that, but I kind of want to try another option because I've been trying monogamy for so long and it's gotten me nowhere. So at this point, I'm willing to try polygyny to see if that's something that would be for me.
So do you find that, well, based on what you've gathered so far with your research, do you find as if what are some of the challenges that you actually foresee in those type of situations? Because yes, the benefit sounds great that, you know, you get someone to share with you, have like your own community, you're able to share like, you know, your person, but not necessarily share, but you guys are able to build a community together where you can kind of build, like you talk about businesses and having the support, and I guess more transparency in those type of situations, right? Where when you think about a monogamous type of relationship, it's not always very forthcoming, very truthful, and, you know, it could be very manipulative. So what are some of the challenges that you kind of see, if there's any, navigating this new dynamic, if you will?
So I'm glad you mentioned the dynamic. So it really depends on who you're bringing into the situation. You have to have that understanding before you're married to the first person, right? That understanding has to be there. That way, when, you know, your husband decides to bring someone else in, they're able to accept it, work with it, and not fight against it.
Okay.
Because that can also destroy that family dynamic, and you definitely don't want that. So I foresee, you know, maybe there might be some culture clash, right? Because you know, it could be someone from another country, it could be someone from another religious background. Maybe they haven't let go fully of what they believe in. And so I like to be in a situation where I'm getting along with everyone. So me being in a relationship like that, I want to build a relationship with a female. Maybe we can be sisters.
Okay. Sister wives. Okay.
You know, where we can actually go to the mall together. We can shop for the house together. We can shop for the kids together. We can do things together. Without our husband in the picture. Like, he may be out doing something that he needs to do for us.
Absolutely.
So why not, you know, we go out, we do things together, get to know each other, bond, and have that mutual respect for each other. Because that's definitely what I cherish most. Is not so much the love part. It's the respect that goes a long way.
Which respect is a great thing to have in a relationship. I think everyone, when you have that, it gives you that comfortability, and it also, like you talked about, like just having someone that you could actually, you know, kind of like vibe who are experiencing the same thing that you might be experiencing.
Absolutely.
And just having that strong support and that bond outside of just you being in a relationship one-on-one, and you probably don't always have the support that you need.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, if you think about it in terms of like the selection process, though, do you get a say in that selection process, or you're just handed like, okay, this is who your sister wife is?
You know, I researched that as well, and I think it really depends on the relationship that you have with that spouse.
Okay.
So, like I said, if you've already discussed those things with, you know, your significant other, and, you know, it's already discussed that, yes, anybody that I do bring in, this, you're going to be, you know, have a say-so as far as selecting, you know, then I think that's better to have that, instead of bringing someone in that may find you a challenge because you were first, or find you a challenge because maybe you look a certain way, right? And so I don't want it to be a competition thing. So I would definitely want to be a part of the selection process.
Which sounds great, but here's the thing though, because I think for most people, they'll think that if someone new that is coming in, and I guess like you mentioned before, if you're comfortable and you're part of that selection process, it probably changes that dynamic, right? Where you're not just forced to, you know, get along with new individuals in that situation. But as it pertains to just like, you know, I guess the navigation piece of it, like, you know, it sounds as if it's a great thing, but I mean, how do you even go about getting like invited into these like type of setting? Like, because for those people who are interested, and, you know, because, you know, maybe people that are listening are curious, you know, how do they go about getting into these conversations? Is it someone that just picked you randomly? Was it an uncomfortable situation for you having that conversation being brought to you? Or that's just something that you always had in the back of your mind that you're open to?
You know, that's a good question. I probably, because I am such a non-confrontational person, I don't really have any problems like with my man being open with me and saying, this is what I'm
You're
doing.
open, yeah. Okay.
So I think it's always been there.
Okay.
I just feel like just be straight.
Okay.
You know, once
Yeah,
you're straight with me,
right.
I can work
Possibilities
with
are open, right? Yeah, okay.
But then when you start keeping secrets, that's when I'm like,
Right.
come on.
And I mean,
This
look.
is not what we talked
Look,
about.
hold on. She's the Saggy, by the way. So you know how the Saggies, they do, like, you got to keep it a buck with them all the time, right? So at least it shows them where they are. You can feel comfortable in your space and your position, so you know how to navigate, right?
Right. Let me know so I know how to move.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm not saying that just because you told me that I'm going to be outside.
Right,
no.
right.
But as long as you tell me what you're doing, I think I've always had it in me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, Kesia, thank you so much for stopping in. I wish you all the best on this new endeavor. And please feel free to come back and, you know, give us updates, because I think this is a very interesting, you know, topic and dynamic. And I know a lot of people would always seem as if like they would choose monogamy. But if you find someone that is as open as you, and I think that it opens a floodgate for just like a lot of possibilities. And I think I love the fact that you're non-conforming and that you're open.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that will allow you to just take on new experiences and just be able to kind of like find what works best for you. And I wish a lot of people would be this open to like trying new ideas, because you know, especially if you try something already and you know what the challenges are, why not be open to others and see where it goes?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Leave my viewers with one word of advice, if you would. It could be about this topic or just one life experiences that you've had, or you know, a quote that you go by.
I would say just try your best not to judge. You know, it's easy to look in from the outside and make judgments, but you have to actually be in it to actually understand. So just be open-minded, and make decisions that will benefit yourself too. You know, you are important as well. So you can even go into a situation like that with those boundaries. You can still have boundaries, you know, but you just have to be clear about what your needs are. And, you know, hopefully the person that you choose is respectful of that as well.
That's beautiful. So always be intentional, always be true to yourself, and be open. Thanks for listening. It's the Damion Oliver Show.
All right.